So, I am procrastinating. I have illustrations that need to be done. I have a house that I could clean. I have any number of things I should be doing with my time. But I suddenly felt hit with the desire to make my video about the worst movies I watched last year. Because I watched some real stinkers. Something you may know about me if you are a person who knows me in real life is that I watch a fuck ton of movies. Last year I tried to watch 300. I got to 291. I would say the majority of what I watch is like pretty much, it's fine. I watch a lot of mediocre movies. I watch a lot of okay movies. So when a movie is exceptionally good, I get very passionate about it. And when it's exceptionally bad, I get passionate in the other direction about it. But because all the movies I watch are obscure, I feel like I have a really broad perspective on absolute dumpster fire movies. Things that will make me hate a movie is if my experience watching this movie is particularly bad. So these movies stick out to me as movies I watched that made me feel horrible to watch them. Here are the movies I watched last year in no particular order, unranked, just the ones that stuck out to me as being the worst to put my human eyes on and then consume and then think about and have to engage with. So I really want to start with The Dark Backwards. I got my big iPad that I don't have a case on because I'm a fucking crazy person and I live on the edge. The Dark Backwards is directed by Adam Rifkin in 1991. What is it about? The Dark Backwards is about a failing stand-up comedian who works as a garbage man who grows an arm out of the back of his body. He's got a third arm, oh my god. This movie should fit into all the categories of movies I like. It's very like otherworldly, it's all neon lit, it's weird, it's off kilter. It should be like Pluto approved. Okay, so media that was created by Gen Xers, like indie stuff, I think has this really uncanny ability to be super fucking bitchy, like whiny, like horrible, like it's just edgelord shit, but for people who had nothing to complain about. Like if you were in your 20s in the 90s, there wasn't like a forever war going on. You didn't know about like global climate catastrophes. You probably, like the kind of edgy, like, society's all messed up media that got made in the 90s feels really vapid to me, and The Dark Backwards is a perfect example of this. Everything about it is so like, look at how gross society is, and there's just like garbage everywhere and like people eating like actual shit, and like there's this like wretched character who's always eating like moldy food, and like he has sex with two fat women. Oh my god, so gross. Society, it's such a gross It's just unbelievably up its own ass and shallow and really unpleasant to watch. I watched this during the period where I first moved to Montreal, and my girlfriend and I didn't have internet for a month, and we were house hunting, and we were beyond stressed out, and we just watched so many mediocre movies in a row. It was like 20 total like boring stinkers, and The Dark Backwards was the one that I was so irritated with. I stopped paying attention to the movies and instead made a bingo sheet of like Gen X edgy media like tropes, and it's all like, it's like fat people eating gross food. I don't know. The Dark Backwards feels like if Invader Zim didn't have any heart or charm and was about a mumbly stand-up comedian who wants to date a girl. Oh, and he also has an arm growing out of the back of his body. It's bad. I hated it so much, it made me sad. Next, I Kill Giants. I Kill Giants. It's a 2017 movie. It was directed by Anders Walter. Whereas The Dark Backwards feels like it's based off of an indie graphic novel, I Kill Giants actually is, and it's atrocious. It is one of the most cloyingly irritating movies I have ever seen. There's a lot of stuff about it that it's like so clear that it's based on a graphic novel because it just does not work in a movie. It's all about this like weird teenage girl who's just having a hard time at school and she can't like connect to anyone. And she lives inside this imaginary world where she like sees herself as this hero who's killing giants and like protecting the town. But the problem is she is so insufferable, and the movie does not address how insufferable she is and just wants you, it expects that you're gonna side with her and like her when all she does is be mean to people, bully people, reject any like attempts at connection from people. She's just incredibly unsympathetic, and the movie really wants you to like side with her. And there's all this stupid stuff that like would work fine in a graphic novel because you can hold back information from your audience in really specific ways because you have a more limited perspective on the story. But in a movie, as your directing choices are to not give the audience all of the information, I think you have to stretch a little bit harder to make it work. So for example, this is a spoiler for a 2017 movie that's terrible, but if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, skip ahead. Big plot twist in the movie is that this girl who's having a really hard time, her mom is just dying of cancer upstairs. But the whole movie frames it like her mom is already dead. So you think her mom is dead, but she's not dead. She's just dying of cancer upstairs. But that doesn't work. The character is just in the other room. It's a lot harder to make your audience believe that. Is that making any sense? I don't know. Anyway, it was terrible. I Kill Giants is a movie about a person using a fantasy world as a coping mechanism, but she's insufferable, and it would work better as a movie if she was literally fighting giants. That would have been fun, because there are moments where she's like, I just killed this giant and saved everybody, you're welcome, and you're like, no you didn't, you set a train on fire for no reason. Anyway, moving on. Okay, Mother of Tears. Mother of Tears is a movie by Dario Argento. Did you know that Dario Argento continued to direct movies well past the 80s and into the 2000s? And Mother of Tears is his 2007 conclusion to his Three Mothers trilogy, which started with Suspiria, was followed up by Inferno, and ends with Mother of Tears. And it's hot fucking garbage. It's the worst. Oh my god. I have a hard time with Dario Argento. I know he's like everybody's favorite master of giallos, and oh my god, he made Suspiria and everybody loves Suspiria. Suspiria's a fine movie, I get it. But I have a hard time engaging with his work, knowing where he ended up with his career. Actually, this is a thing. I don't get how there are so many master directors of horror and like these genre filmmakers who make these exceptional cult movies in their heyday, like in the 70s and 80s, and then the 90s and 2000s hit and they're like, I don't know how to make a movie anymore, because that's what this feels like. So let me remember if I can even like pull the plot of this garbage heap out of my brain. Mother of Tears is a movie about, I think there's a girl and she's trying to figure out her relationship with her mom. I don't know. There's witches. It's convoluted as fuck. It is so convoluted. There's like... I'm just gonna say the plot doesn't matter, because it really does not. It's supposed to be this conclusion to, like, it's a Dario Argento movie, so the plot doesn't really matter anyway. Like, what's Suspiria about? It's a dance academy with witches. What's Inferno about? It's a building with witches. What's Mother of Tears about? Something witches. I watched the unrated version, which I think may have influenced my relationship with watching this movie, but there's so much aggressive gore in this movie. I'm not like a gore fiend. I don't have a hard time with gore, but it's not my favorite thing. Like, I don't watch many of the like gory punk rock Japanese movies that I think I would probably get something out of, but I just have a hard time with them because I don't want to see people's guts and stuff all the time. It's not really my thing. This movie has the main character who you were supposed to root for just like smash a girl's head in a door and her eyes pop out. It's like cartoonish. But what made me decide that I hated this movie, okay, Dario Argento has a weird thing with like introducing lesbians and then killing them pretty immediately, but I can't tell if it's like, I don't think he's aware of the bury your gays trope, so I'm not really gonna be like, oh, Dario, like it's bad, but it's also like, whatever. It's kind of weird that he would put lesbians in his movies in the first place because he's an Italian man whose main career happened in the 70s and 80s, so it's kind of interesting and cool that he like includes gay people in his movies, but it's never in a good way, so I don't really know what to make of it. But he like introduces a character who's important, then you find out she's a lesbian, you go to her house and she's got a partner and they're so in love, oh my god, that's cool, and then moments later they both get killed in such a horribly graphic and gory way. It's the only scene in a movie I have ever seen that was so upsetting that I like immediately started sobbing. I don't like it. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I don't like this movie. I really, I don't like it at all. It really upset me. I hated seeing it. It's also dumb. The movie ends because I think a shirt gets destroyed. I can't really remember this movie because after the lesbians die horribly for no reason, my brain just went, ah! And it was all white noise and just me being like, fuck this. Bad, okay. Maybe I'll make a video talking about my feelings about Dario Argento some other day because I have a lot of them and they're complicated, but I also haven't watched a lot of his giallos because I don't like giallos. There, I said it. Okay, this one, this isn't a bad, like this, how do I talk about this one? Fatal Pulse is a 2018 movie directed by Damon Packard, who is an incredibly interesting director. I think he's more of a postmodernist artist than he is a director. He makes really, really like strange, difficult to engage with movies and shorts that, in my opinion, follow the format of a YouTube poop, but they're feature-length films. Fatal Pulse is Damon Packard's 90s erotic thriller movie. I saw this at the What the Film Festival in Toronto in March of last year, which was a fantastic festival. I had so much fun, but this was the last movie of the weekend, and it started late and ended late. It is a movie that is 2 hours long, and it is not coherent in any way. There is a plot, I think. Don't know what it is. Okay, so I got there that morning for like a kid's cartoon marathon. Like, I watched films all day and I'm just sitting in this seat like so uncomfortable. And I'm having, I think, a fibro flare up because my body hurts like for all get out and my hips are just seething and I'm sitting in this chair and I'm watching this movie and people are chanting and there's puppets and like none of it makes sense, and Naomi Elizabeth shows up, which is so cool, but I'm not following it, I'm not getting anything out of it, and I'm having just such an uncomfortable, horrible time. And I know that a movie is going to like rank really badly for me if I start feeling like every new scene I think, okay, hopefully this is the last scene. And I started feeling that way an hour in, and I just kept being like, okay, hopefully this is the last scene for over an hour. It was a lot. I actually have a lot of respect for Damon Packard because I think the way he makes movies is really cool and interesting, but it was so hard to sit through. And if it had not been the final movie after a weekend-long movie festival, I may have been a little bit more physically able to engage with it, but because it wasn't, I had a really hard time and I spent the whole movie just being like, I want to put my head in a blender. No hate to Damon Packard, but it was a really hard one to watch. Moving on, Tales of Earthsea. Did you know that Studio Ghibli has a bad movie? Like an exceptionally bad movie? Tales from Earthsea is a 2006 animated movie from beloved studio, Studio Ghibli. And it's directed by Goro Miyazaki, who is one of Maya Miyazaki's sons. This was Goro's directorial debut. He hadn't done anything previously to this. I think he actually worked in real estate. I think he was really, really trying for something with this one, and it just did not land. And it's a bummer because it's based off of an Ursula K. Le Guin novel. She has had such a hard time with adaptation. I don't think an Ursula K. Le Guin property has ever been properly adapted, as far as I can tell. I think it's hard to adapt her work because she doesn't write, as like from my understanding, she doesn't write for conventional story beats. She writes from this like anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, almost anarchist approach to storytelling. So her sword and shield and sorcery stories aren't about people just like swinging swords and like saving the princess. They're these complicated stories about like overcoming internal like feelings towards violence and how like pacifism is a strategy. And then this movie is like, JK, it's all about how swords are cool and wizards, blah. This one's just so notable because it is a Ghibli movie, and I think I am very close to having like worked my way through the entire like Ghibli filmography. I've seen everything that Maya Miyazaki has directed. I'm working on the other stuff. This one's a stinker. It's real bad. I would kind of recommend watching it if you want to torture yourself a little bit and be bored. Like, if you've seen everything Ghibli, like, Miyazaki has made, and you're like, let's see what else there is. It's kind of, like, surreal to watch a Ghibli movie be this poorly executed and boring, and it's there for you to watch. You should. Yeah, a glowing recommendation to watch a movie that I thought was boring and really upsetting or uncomfortable to sit through. It wasn't uncomfortable to sit through. It was just, like, incredibly dull and badly handled. Maybe nepotism shouldn't exist in the directing world, and not every person who feels like they could direct something should, just because they have a, like, acclaimed director father. I don't know, is that a controversial thing to say? Oh my god, okay, I looked this up on IMDb, and this movie's, it's under thriller/pornographic. Okay, so the next movie is called Hard. It's from 1999, and it's directed by John Huckert. My partner and I wanted to watch Hard because we had seen Cruising. Jesus. I watched Cruising, and Cruising is like a weird movie, but it's, you know, it's about gay stuff and there's a cop, but it's not a gay cop. And Hard is about a gay cop dealing with a gay serial killer. So it's supposed to, I thought it would be like an interesting counterpoint to Cruising, to kind of get a different perspective on it. And it's bad. It's really, really bad. And I feel kind of horrible talking about how bad it is because this was a passion project, and I'm pretty sure the producer and director of this movie, like, I think it was this one, they maxed out like over 20 credit cards to get this movie made, and it's like, oh, your passion project, you worked so hard, but it doesn't mean the movie's any good. This again was just one of those movies that I felt so tired by the end of. I just felt drained and sad that I had just sat through that. It's real bad. It's about this gay cop who's secretly gay, and he's trying to track down this gay serial killer, but he's also like has this weird sexual tension with the serial killer, but everything about it feels so poorly thought out and executed and insulting. It's insulting. I can't even remember specifics about why this one is so bad to me because I think the second I finished watching it, I was like, okay, delete. Like, I didn't want to remember any part of it, but I sat through it and thought, no, this isn't good. This should not have been made, or it should have been handled with a modicum of tact. And instead, it's just like dumb. It's so dumb. Anyway, cheers. Anyway, them's my top. How many did I even write down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Them's my top 6 movies I disliked the most last year. I think I tend to not really remember the bad ones very hard because I just go through so many movies, and unless there's something exceptionally like ridiculous about one, it doesn't stick in my brain. Most of the time I'll just be like, oh my god, that sucked, and I'll be mad, and then I like write a mean review on Letterboxd and I'm like, and then like a week later I haven't thought about it at all. Focus on the good, forget the bad, it's fine. Movies. If you liked this video and you want to see more videos like this, you should just tell me to make more because I haven't made any, and this is my first movie or video where I talk about movies, which is a thing I talk a lot about and engage with a lot, and I would like to do more of. Thank you anyway. Mwah, mwah, I love you, bye.